How's it going, YouTube? It's ADR back with a build guide for Season 10 Overrealm. This is going to be my split Firebolt Bing 2. This has been my league starter. This has been the build that I've been playing pretty much every day on stream. And I'm finally gotten the written guide finished, and I'm ready to get the video out to you guys. I know there have been quite a few of you waiting for this, and I apologize it took me so long. Season start, I kind of just YOLO'd into this build. I had no build plan, so it's kind of just been like a build it and go as I progress through the season. That's why there've been so many snapshots. There's like 7 snapshots right now, just because I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to take the build. But now I've got that locked in. We're dialed in. As you can see, we're pumping out the damage. We're well over 2 trillion if we go max damage setup. If we go maximum movement speed setup, we're still sitting at about 1.2 to 1.5 trillion. So pretty solid with a lot of upgrades. My slates are pretty bad. My hero memories are pretty bad still. So there's a lot of room to upgrade still in this character. And I'm excited to do that. I don't usually like to take characters super expensively into a build. I usually keep it much lower than this, but I've just been having so much fun with the build that, yeah, here we are. So let's go ahead and dive into this, shall we? I'll break down as much as I can. There is, of course, a detailed written guide that will be pinned in the comment, and that can also be found in the written build section of my Discord link down below. If you've got any questions about the build, please feel free to drop a comment or hop into a live stream, usually on Twitch, and you can ask me those questions there. All right, so let's go through top to bottom what we're doing with this build. First and foremost, this is Bing 2, of course. And these are our hero traits. This is non-negotiable. This side, you want to go the movement speed while mapping. You can take the reduced damage for bossing if you would like. Here, you're going to be taking Troublemaker. Now, you may be looking at Troublemaker like, wow, that's a lot of damage. It's okay. We're going to turn that downside into an upside with this build. Don't worry about that. We actually need to take a little bit of damage to be able to generate tenacity blessings. So this we're turning that downside into an upside, so it's completely fine. Don't worry about that. For the second trait at level 2, we're going to be taking auto ingenuity. I've tried to use these other two, and like even with me spamming the button, this is just better. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if anybody else has been able to make these better. I haven't. So we just take the automation and we're happy about it. Down here, we're going to be using Brainstorm. It's we just use it. It gives you a nice call, gives you like, we just use Brainstorm. And then down here, we are going to be using multi-coupling equation. We do have 2 empower skills affecting us, so we will be getting this extra spell burst. I've tried the other 2 and they're just not good compared to multi-coupling. So throughout the campaign, you're actually going to level with Fire Burst. I have a campaign primer section within the written guide that you will be able to reference. It'll show you it'll tell you what trees to go. It'll tell you what you might want to grab out of your vaults, as well as just give you a quick snapshot of what those leveling trees are going to be looking like. And then once you get to maps, as generally when I would be swapping over to split Firebolt, I do find Fireburst to be, they kind of put Fireburst on rails going through the campaign, so you might as well just ride it out. It's fine. But yeah, after that, however, we move into like your post section. And down here, we do have, I do just want to show off a couple of things within the actual document guide. So we do have different tabs that you can go into. So we've got your early gearing. So this is just going to showcase some of the early legendaries that you can use. We've got this separated out by different slots. And then, of course, we've got your gear progression going over how you want to progress your gear going forward. We've got all your skill links going in here with some information about what you might want to change, info about pedigrees and slates, different stats and mechanics that you want to be aware of going into this build, a little bit of Prism information, your hero memories, and then pet talk as well. So all of that's going to be in the written guide. To showcase what the early version of the build is going to look like, I'm actually going to pull up one of the earlier snapshots that I had created. So this is going to be the snapshot from when I first took down Traveler 7. At this time, I was using Blind Vision, a Martyr Staff, Magnus Mind Flame, Blinding Bracers, like a couple of Heart of Magics with Crow's Plume. All of these things are mentioned in the written guide under the early leveling section. And this will get you there just fine. This snapshot, this is the 800 million snapshot. Let's just go over what we've got here. We're still using a two-hander. You see, there's not really much that's changed here. We've got blue memories even. We had a Slate, but close range isn't even great. This is about a 200 FE to 300 FE character. And at this point, you're able to farm T8s pretty well. I would think the only thing that you might want to do in T8s that you couldn't do effectively at 800 would probably be Outlaw. Outlaws, you're going to need a couple bill, I think, to clear comfortably in T8. But this build right here, the 800 million snapshot, last time I priced it out, you could probably make this with 200 FE or less. So be on the lookout for that. For our actual skill, we are using Split Firebolt, and it does have a canvas support or a magnificent support that we are going to be running with this. We're going to be using Split Firebolt Split. This is going to be a massive damage upgrade both for your single target and for your clear. There is another support that you can use over here called Focal Point. Do not use this. It's bad. Don't use it. As you can see, we've got Control Spell, Spell Conk, Wind Proj, and Psychic Burst. Once you get to the point that you're able to put on a Shattered Moonlight, you are going to take that Psychic Burst off, and you're going to replace that Psychic Burst with a critical strike damage support. Early on, you're going to be running Scorched here. Once you're able to get an extra curse, you can swap in a Timid. You do need to have 2 Empower skills going at all times to benefit from your hero trait. So we use Fixate and Secret Origin Unleash. I have Origin Unleash on a prep, and I have Fixate on an activation medium. And then you can run Arcane Circle for maximum damage. You can also run Blurry Steps for mapping, which is what I do. Optionally, you could also run like a Forced Start or a Frost Shield for more defenses if you would like. For our auras, we are using Precise Projectiles, Domain Expansion, Spell Amplification, and Charged Flames. If you would like more defense, at the cost of damage, you can change any one of these 4 over to a Energy Fortress. So if you find yourself needing more defense, but you've got enough damage for what you're doing, maybe consider that. That may be one of the ways that you need to push into Profound as well. I did find that like I had more than enough damage for Profound when I was attempting to move in originally, but I didn't quite have the defenses. So I did have to pull my damage down just to get those extra defenses in. So just play around with the character, find the points that make it feel comfortable for you to play the game, because it is going to be different for everybody. Jumping back in, looking at hero memories for just a bit. Your hero memory origin is always going to be intelligence base. Your hero memory discipline is always going to be energy shield base. Progress can be a movement speed base or a cast speed base, whichever you would prefer. And then for your fixed and your randoms, you're just looking for prod speed, critical strike rolls, critical damage rolls. You could get some energy shield if you would like more defense. You could get some block if you would like more defense as well. But generally, that's what you're looking for. Also looking for affliction effect. Moving into talents, we take knowledge, magister, marksman, and lich. And the knowledge tree, we're going to be taking, before you have on the chest for beacon or you have an amulet with beacon, you will be taking beacon. Once you have that on your gear, you're going to be swapping over to peculiar vibe. And then you're also going to be taking insight. In magister, we are going to be taking the play safe node right here. This is what we're going to use to get our solid river up and running later on. Marksman, we're going to be taking Gale, and we're going to be scaling additional damage with our projectile speed. And then in the Lich, of course, we're going to be taking off the beaten track. In Lich, we're going to be focusing mostly on the affliction effect and the reduced mana compensation. Marksman, we're not even touching anything over here. All we care about is these medium nodes right here. And this is also one of the 2 great spots to put a Prism in. If you want, this is where I put my max damage Prism. So if I need, like, I go Spellburst Prism with mediums that give me damage, so prod, speed, intelligence, things of that nature. This is an amazing spot for mediums, because this is a medium. Like, look at all the mediums right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and if we were a life build, 5 mediums all right there. It's a great spot for a Prism. And then if we're going for the movement speed option, instead what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our Magister tree. And we're going to get a move speed right here and put that in. And then this is what it looks like when we're going maximum movement speed. You have 5 legendary nodes within this box, which means that each roll that you get here is 40 movement speed. If you get 2 of these rolls, which I still need to do, that is 80 movement speed on top of the movement speed bonus you get from the actual Prism. It's so much. I don't even use God of War in my maps anymore. I find it completely unnecessary. Going over slates, you really want to move into a True Flame Pedigree once you can to get off of the Magnus Amulet. It's nice early on, but getting it on there's so many better amulets that you could be using, especially if you're at the point that you can craft a priceless amulet. You really want to get True Flame on a slate. If you can get it with shell, that's what I've done. I've not seen any of these pop up. However, I've been looking just to see, and I've not seen a single one pop up. There are other options. Just get True Flame with any other damage core. True Flame plus Dirt, for example, is a really moderately cheap combo. So maybe consider that. But there's a ton of other things that you can do. Just look for any core talents that will just give you additional damage and combine it with True Flame on your pedigrees. On these slates, there are a couple of key mods that I really want to pinpoint for you. The first is going to be this mod on your knowledge slates. 24% chance to inflict ailments and then base ailment damage. We do not use a flame focus, so you have to get your base ailment damage either on a slate or you have to get it on your priceless amulet implicit. So those are the only 2 places that I can really find to get base damage for you to be able to ignite. You have to ignite for True Flame to work. Slate mod number 2 that's super important is going to be some kind of affliction inflicted per second. It doesn't have to be this one. This is the best one. But just any kind, you have to be doing affliction to get True Flame. So once again, you got to have that to get True Flame working. You can only get 1 copy of Tenacity Blessing and only 1 copy of Max Spellburst on your slates. Get them. They are massive damage bonuses. Get them some way or another. After that, you just want basically good things for the build. So spell critical strike damage, skill levels, ES on defeats, amazing for mapping, chance to paralyze. Just focus on those ones that we showcased earlier, the affliction and the base ailment, to make sure that your build is up and functioning. Oftentimes, if you find your damage isn't quite right, it's because you don't have something to trigger your True Flame. As for gear going forward from the starter build, eventually you're going to want to move into a solid river. It gives us automation for the build, which makes it just so much more cozy. It gives us a good damage bump. It gives us good energy shield. And it also gives us restoration when we're activating Spell Burst, which helps to compensate for the damage that we'll be taking from our hero trait. That with our energy shield regen, that combined with our regain, I don't even notice the damage that I take from that anymore. For the amulet, eventually we're gonna want to, like, this is like end game right here. We've got our base ailment, we've got a curse, we got beacon finally, so we don't have to take that anymore. Dawnbreak is a really fantastic belt choice. If you want to go more defensive, you can go for a Light Hunter belt. And then, of course, Eternity is Eternity. So maybe get that at some point in your career. Weapons. Weapons are pretty simple. Make sure you have one when you get to the priceless tier. Make sure you have elemental erosion penetration on one of your weapons, and you have armor damage mitigation on one of your weapons. You're going to want both of those. This is a massive, massive damage increase. Past that, we're just looking for generally good rolls for our builds or skill levels, spell damage, additional spell burst, charge speed, additional damage for spell bursts, cast speed because of play safe is also charge speed. Also, things like critical strike rating and critical strike damage. These are all going to be good things. As for your implicits, projectile quantity is great. Additional damage is great. Max tenacity is amazing. And then when it comes to your rings and amulets, you want things like fire infiltration, max tenacity, the base ailment, so that I can now go in and replace that off of my slate at some point. If you can get a curse, you can buy a curse on an amulet or a ring for about 12 to 1500. It's a huge damage bonus. And even if you don't have +1 curse on your gear, it frees up that slot for you to then put in a different empower skill or a different defensive skill. So it gives you so much getting a curse gives you so much extra room to build up the character how you would like by freeing up that skill slot. So make sure you get that when you boots are pretty simple. ES, move speed, maybe skill level if you want that, and resistances. Nothing crazy going on here. The only thing I would do past this maybe is go Lone Walkers. And then for the chest, I was using Shattered Moonlight for a long time. And this was literally the last priceless piece that I got. But we've got +1 curse, we've got explode, we've got double crit rolls with good resistance roll on there as well. Gloves, of course, Magnus Law. We're stacking tenacity blessings, and every tenacity blessing is going to be a damage multiplier for our skill because we are doing pure fire damage. As for your pets, there's a lot of different pets that you can use going into this. I've got a full list of pets in the written guide that you can reference and choose from based on what you have. I'm using a Squirtle, I'm using a Dreamweaver, and I'm using an Iron Lion. There are a bunch of others that you could be using. However, some of the ones that would stick out to me, you could use Boneworm's Daughter. If you wanted some more defensive options and you had those available, you could use like a Spirit Blast, a Warbler, or a Preserver of Eternity. Some of the blue pets are good as well. Hell Cavalry and Traveling Lizard Flower are good shout outs for defensive pets that are purple. And then for your spell purples, the Oyster Mushroom, the Cavalry Glow, and Cloud Gatherer Violet are all fantastic. If you don't have any of those, just use whatever you've got that will give you spell damage or defensives or movement speed. Pets are really just use what you got. Going into the Kismets and pacts, right now I'm only using a single Kismet. I am using a Kismet Stone Bear. This is how we are generating our tenacity blessings because we have regain. Again, we remember that downside I talked about in the hero traits. We're taking damage, which lets us regain. Regain allows us to get tenacity blessings. Tenacity blessings then makes us tankier and gives us a large damage multiplier. So again, downside, upside, pretty good. Past that, I'm only using intelligence mediums and intelligence smalls. And then I've got a little bit of resistance mixed in just to make sure that I am capped on my resistances. Nothing crazy going on with my Kismets just yet. I don't know how crazy I want to get with those. We'll see how that goes. And that is pretty much the video rundown on how Bing 2 is going to go. Again, I've got a fully written guide for you to follow, going over everything in detail, including like the gear progression for every single slot. We've got the pets listed out here that you're going to want to use. We've got all of your hero memory information. We've got your prisms with screenshots. We've got your stats and mechanics. Actually, let's go over stats and mechanics really quickly because I know I'll get these questions a lot. Solid River automation. Number 1, Solid River requires us to hit 300 spell burst generation speed for it to automate. You need to use a combination of charge speed and cast speed to get there, which is why we use the play safe core talent and Magister. It makes it really easy to hit this. And you do want to go above that 300 number, by the way. Don't stop at 300, go higher. There are mods you can roll on maps which will reduce your cast speed. And if that happens, you will stop auto casting. Trust me, it happened to me. I didn't know what was going on. Just be aware of that. Okay, just be aware of that. True Flame and Affliction. You need to have Affliction on enemies for True Flame to work, and because you need Affliction, you want to scale Affliction effect. So get Affliction effect. It will make your True Flame much, much stronger. And of course, with the Tenacity Blessings, we have to generate Tenacity Blessings for the Magnus's Law. Again, I am using a Kismet Stone Bear with a Regain in the tree or on my slates to trigger the Kismet to get my Tenacity Blessings. You could maybe try to get Barrier on like an amulet and use the Barrier talent on a slate, but I find this is the easiest way to do it, on top of which we want Regain anyway. So for one Kismet slot, we're activating our Tenacity Blessings. I think this is a fantastic way to do it. And the prices on this has been up and down. So get it when you can. And that's just about going to cover the entirety of the guide. I hope that this has helped somebody that wants to play the build. And if not, the written guide is there. And if that doesn't help, hop in Discord, ask questions, drop down below, leave a comment, ask questions, or hop in the live stream and ask questions, and we will get you helped. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy this build as much as I did, and I'll see you guys at the live stream. Bye-bye.